So good day everyone and welcome to today's discussion. So in this video, we will analyze one of the most important thing in Supreme Court decisions and Hello Garcia tapes, media freedom and the applications of the Republic Act 4200 or the anti-wiretapping law. So in this video, we will answer the five major questions. So number one is what is the case all about? Second, what are the facts of this case? And third, what are the issues? Fourth, what is the ruling of the Supreme Court? And last is the fifth, and what are the takeaways of mine from this case? So let's begin. So first, what is the case all about? So this case revolves around the government's attempt to prevent media outlets from broadcasting the so-called Hello Garci tapes. So alleged recorded phone conversations between the COMELEC commissioners and the President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo during the 2004 elections. So the Department of Justice or the DOJ and the National Telecommunications Commission, which is the NTC, issues warning to all the radio of and TV stations that broadcasting or processing the tapes might be the violation of the Republic Act 4200 or the anti-wiretapping law. So because of this, the government effectively told media that don't air the tapes or else you may face criminal charges and your broadcast license may be suspended or revoked. So the former Solicitor General Francisco Frank Chavez filed a case saying that this government action was um, unconstitutional because it was form of a prior restraint or a censorship mechanism done before the speech is expressed. So overall, the case is about the freedom of speech, media censorship, and the government's use of the Republic Act 4200 or the anti-wiretapping law as a basis to warn or silence the press. So second is what is what are the facts of the case? So to understand all controversy, let's break down the key parts or the key events of the case. So first is on 2005, the Hello Garcia tapes leak. So recordings allegedly captured private phone conversations discussing the election's outcomes. Second is on June 8, 2005, the Department of Justice Secretary Raul Gonzalez issues a public warning. He stated that anyone who possesses, reproduces, or broadcasts these tapes may be violating the Republic Act 4200 or the anti-wiretapping law. And also one of the major events is the NTC follows with a press statement. So the commission threatened the broadcast companies. They may be sanctioned. They may be face suspensions of license, or they may be prohibited from airing any recording related to the tapes. So these warnings are sent before any media outlet even aired the material. So next also, one of the major events is the petitioner Chavez files a case. So he argues in the file, the warnings acted as a censorship. Also, the government used the Republic Act 4200 as a weapon to threaten the press. Also, uh, the media has the constitutional right to discuss matters of the national concern. And last is the public has the right to know if the elections fraud happened. One of the key events then, or major events, is the government's position, where the DOG, or the Department of Justice, and the NTC claimed that the tapes were obtained illegally, and broadcasting them violates the Republic Act 4200. Also, the government had the authority to warn the media. So these events set the stage for a legal questions, like can the government use the Republic Act for to serious to silence or prevent the media from broadcasting politically relevant material. So next questions is, what are the issues of the case? So there are, in my opinion, there are three major issues the Supreme Court had to resolve. First issue is that, was the government warning to media a form of prior restraint? So prior restraint means stopping speech before it happens. So is the DOG, or the Department of Justice, and NTC warning considered censorship? So number two is issue two. Can Republic Act 4200 legally justify the stopping media from broadcasting the tapes? So basically, the Republic Act 4200 punishes the unauthorized wiretapping, the possession of illegally recorded materials, and also the dissemination of illegal recordings. So the question is, does the Republic Act 4200 allow the government to shut down or restrict media before any broadcast happens? So issue number three is did the government violate freedom of the press and freedom of the speech? So is the warning a legitimate legal action, or is it unconstitutional interference with the press freedom? So these are the issues that I've gathered that the Supreme Court had to examine. So for the fourth questions, what is the ruling of the Supreme Court in this case? So in the case, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Mr. Chavez, declaring that the actions of the Department of Justice and the NTC unconstitutional. So here are the key points of the ruling of the Supreme Court. So first is, yes, the warning is constitutional prior restraint, where the court ruled that the government directly targeted journalists. Also, the warnings were a clear attempt to stop the media from reporting. Also, one is the threatening them with the sanctions is a censorship. Also, the prior restraint is presumed unconstitutional unless there is a clear and a present danger. So in this case, there was no danger proven. So one of the key points also was the Republic Act 4200 cannot be used as a basis for the prior restraint. Why? Because this is the most important part for the applying of the Republic Act 4200, which is the anti-wiretapping law. So the court explained that even if the tapes were illegally recorded, even if broadcasting them may lead to future criminal liability, also the government still cannot prevent the media from airing the beforehand. So meaning that the Republic Act 4200 does not allow the government to silence the press in advance. It only applies after the fact through prosecution, not the censorship. So one of the key points also is that the media cannot be punished for broadcasting truthful informations on a matter of the public concern. So even if the source recorded the call illegally, the media that it did not participate in the wiretapping uh, received the tapes after the fact, and reporting about the elections fraud is a matter of national importance. So the court emphasized that the right to free speech and press becomes more essential when the subjects involves public officials and the public interest or concerns. So one also from the key points is that therefore, the Department of Justice and the NTC act without authority. So their warnings had no legal basis, violated constitutional rights, created a chilling effect, and amounted to unlawful prior restraint. So the warning or the ruling of Supreme Court was the warnings were struck down as unconstitutional. So last from the questions was the what are my the takeaways or learnings from these schools that I've read. So from Chavez versus Gonzalez, we learn several I learned several important lessons. So one is that the Republic Act 4200 or the anti-wire dating law cannot be used as the censor to the press. So the anti-wire dating law does not give the government power to stop the broadcast or the reporting in advance. So it can only punish offenders after the proper trial, not through threats. So one also is that freedom of the press is strongest when public accountability is involved. So when the topic is election fraud, government misconduct, and also corruptions. So the press had broad protections. Also, one of my takeaways is that prior restraint is almost always unconstitutional. So any government actions restraining the speech before it said is a highly suspect. So the state must be prove a clear and present danger, which is extremely difficult. So also one of my takeaways is that the public interest outweighs embarrassment of public officials. Even if the content is politically damaging, the public has right to know what is the more important. Also is media is protected even if the material originally came from the illegal means. So as long as the media did not participate in the illegal wiretapping or the information is relevant to the public, so they cannot be silenced. So this reinforces the democratic principle that the sunlight is the best disinfectant. So that includes my discussion on the case of Mr. Chavez versus Gonzalez and the application of the Republic Act 4200 or the anti-wiretapping law. So this case remains a powerful reminder that the government cannot use laws, including the anti-wiretapping law, as a tools to censor or intimidate the press. So if you learn from this case, make sure that you gain some ideas of mine from the case. And that's all. Thank you for watching.